Hi, this is Irving Steel, your host of Local Issues. And today, on a beautiful sunny day in southeastern Connecticut, we are very excited to have a local artist who I met through our common passion for Airedale Terriers, the dog that we have. And before we jump into that, I just wanted to encourage all viewers out there that currently in the state, there's the HB 5446, the bill that helps to encourage and provide funding for public access TV, so then we can have amazing artists, nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs in the community here to display and help to spread the great work that they're doing. So if you have a chance, please do contact your legislators and support this bill so there can continue to be funding. So welcome, Sylvina. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I'm just so amazed. We have many different parts of your art here, from the sunflower to a tote bag and a buoy, a book and a magnet, but also your business card, which I thought was really cool because it has a piece of your art on there as well as a QR code so people can just go to your webpage and find out more about you.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. My website was launched in early 2022, and it's been growing from there. And what other questions can I answer?
Yes, so I'm really curious. People see artists and they think, wow, you just put all these things together. I'm curious, how did it start? Why do you have this passion and interest for art? Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was growing up, my parents collected original art from local artists. So we often had beautiful artwork to look at as we were growing up. I remember getting lost in the brushstrokes of a snow scene by a local artist, Alex Poplawski, and another artist who I've known over the years, Ed Hicks, and he's from Glastonbury. And my grandmother had the girl from the Pearl Earring, the fine art print, in her home all these years. And I learned that Vermeer and I have the same birth date, who painted that. So we've been surrounded by fine art. Local artists would often come paint in the farm that I grew up on. And let's see, my grandmother took us to Boston once to go see the Wyeth exhibit. I think they were the Helga paintings, and that was a great adventure. So we've had a great appreciation for art. And my mother was a host. She was the president of the Colchester Women's Club, and they hosted fine art shows on the Colchester Green over the years. So we got to know the local artists and enjoy it in our homes as well. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. And from my understanding too, that a lot of your work, a lot of your artwork kind of comes from inspiration from whether it's in the garden or in the farm, different things like that. Is that true? Does that help give you inspiration?
Absolutely. So I love farm life. I grew up on a farm. It was one of the funnest parts of my life, being around the animals. And I love to garden. I studied landscape design in college. I was also interested in possibly becoming a horse trainer, but I transitioned to landscape design in college, which segued to my municipal career as a computer-aided draftsperson. But I always loved getting out of the office and taking time to either paint on location or paint in my studio, and always gravitated towards animals, and one of my passions is pet portraits as well.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And with the passion for pets, you have different things, whether it's this amazing magnet here of the horse Mandy,
right?
Or also you have a book tributed to Luna the dog. You want to tell me a little bit more about that?
So my book, Luna, A Tribute, it's available on Amazon. It is a tribute to our white shepherd, Luna, who was our first rescue dog. So we've rescued 4 dogs now, and we tend to enjoy the white shepherd mixed within the dogs. Luna was our, we adopted her from the Humane Society, and we've had her for a number of years, and when she passed, I wanted to hold on to the memory and all the wonderful stories we had with her. And I wrote about all the fun stories of her life with us in East Hampton when we lived in East Hampton, and I painted a number of paintings about her. The Christmas window when we enjoyed Christmas at the farmhouse with my parents and family, and then I think chapter 9 has how she got stuck on the roof. So you'll have to.
Wow, that must be such a great story.
Right? That's a good story. So chapter 9, then she would help me feed the horses in the morning.
Backlit in the barnyard.
Right? And she ended up really, we mutually ran each other's lives. This is Luna.
Oh my goodness, on top of the roof.
Right? And this painting's called Up on the Woof.
That's great.
So we had a lot of fun with Life with Luna, and it was really fun to write about her. Also cathartic, because it was also part of my grieving process.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it was interesting when I released the book. I was very nervous, and it just helped me connect with other people, and we also enjoy animals, rescuing dogs, and it led to a lot of pet portraits. And I know there was one more point I wanted to make about this, but that will come.
Well, I think it's amazing that so much of our society and so many people were able to consume so many things, whether it's TV, radio, or social media now, things like that. But then for you to kind of take it to the next step of whether it's artwork like this or books like this, to actually produce some kind of product or a tangible thing,
right?
It's a whole nother level to take that step to action. Do you find yourself, sometimes you kind of have a barrier, or how do you kind of encourage yourself just to produce something like that?
Deadlines, you know,
Deadlines.
and having somebody to help. I found somebody to work with me on this. Her name was Michelle Vandepass, and she still helps people self-publish books. And she
So it's
helped,
kind of teamwork.
Yeah, it was teamwork. She helped me create some deadlines, and I kept putting it on my calendar how to get to the next step. And then she would help fine-tune it, and she kind of helped get everything laid out with her team. And similarly, like I took on painting the lobster trap buoy. That has a deadline. We need to have that done by June. And the other thing that helps me is also the, like sometimes I'll do a calendar every year. So that makes me do 12 paintings before you really need to get that rolling, either late August, early September, let people know there's a calendar out there for the following year.
Because some people think that creatives, that they can just be constantly coming up with new ideas and creative things and won't finish something. So that deadline is really helpful to say, I need to finish by this date.
Exactly. And signing up for art shows,
Art
make
shows.
sure you have content in your booth.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to enter a themed show, some
Yep.
of the art associations have specific themed shows. That helps. Oil paints take a little longer to dry, so I know when I was working, it was difficult for me to come up with products for a themed show. Sometimes what I had would fit the show, so I enjoyed that. And I know, like Lime Art Association, they have a kind of an anything goes show in the holiday season, Deck the Walls. So I know I can have something for that.
Yeah, and I understand. I think you won some kind of award from the Lime Art Association. Is that right?
Yeah, back in a couple Augusts ago, I know it was during COVID. They had like a bust on the doorway, and it had a mask. So I know it was COVID times. I went to a paint out. It was for their 100th year. They had a paint out to celebrate that. So I received like a honorable mention or a merit award.
Awesome.
And Jeff Cooley was the juror. He owns the Cooley Gallery down there on Lime Street. So I felt good. That was a challenging day because I don't always paint on location. The comfort of my studio, I don't have to deal with the sun or the heat. It was a hot day, so I got out there early and had my big broad-brimmed hat on and painted away. So
I imagine
That
it's
was
something.
fun.
Yeah, congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
I imagine it is something you kind of get used to the environment that you're in, and whether it's the temperature, the visual things distracting you or not distracting you, and it helps a lot if you have kind of the creature habits of your own studio.
Right, absolutely. And when I first started painting, I took classes at a community college, and towards the end of her class, that teacher got us on location, like at Elizabeth Park and a few other places. And then I connected with Beth Ellis, who was a plein air painter, and she took many of us out on adventures locally in Glastonbury. And then I signed up for her painting workshops on the coast of Maine.
Awesome.
So we really had to have all our equipment and materials and supplies ready, and it was really fun. You really need to plan ahead, like if you're going out on a painting workshop for a week, you need to plan ahead quite a few days to pack everything properly, and then even if you're going out on location for a morning or the day, you probably need a few hours to get everything together if you haven't painted on location for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready to go back out on location. I love being outside, so.
Well, that's part of the passion
Yeah.
of painting plein air, right? Is
Right,
you're kind of
yeah.
out in the beautiful nature. Maybe I love to go sometimes down to Harkness Park in Waterford, and
Right.
just the sunsets and the trees, the colors there. It's a
Right.
really
Oh,
perfect spot to
yeah.
do. I like to do pastels, not oil
Oh, good,
like
nice.
you, but
Yeah.
that's a really
Right.
fun spot to do art
That's
out there.
great. So, do you have any favorite spots there at Harkness?
Yeah,
Such
just
a beautiful place.
kind of the entrance there at the beginning
Okay.
as you go and then you park. There's that bridge kind of overlooking it, so I like
Oh, yeah.
to go out there.
Right.
And one thing that you mentioned was your art classes, and I think that's a really interesting area that oftentimes with budgets and schools, it seems like the arts are one of the first things that people look to cut the budget. I'm curious kind of your thoughts and feelings of how important art is for our youth and for our educational system.
Oh, I absolutely feel it's very, very important. It's just another area of expression and learning to build skill sets. Creativity really helps problem solve. And it's fascinating also to see students and how differently they express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have different handwriting than I have. And I just love to see all the differences.
And it's such an easy way for them to be able to express kind of who they are in a different medium. Like you said, different
Right.
handwriting, different drawing,
Right?
all of that.
Yeah.
And one thing that I love to see too is that maybe some of my students, they're maybe struggling with some different math problems.
Okay.
Maybe math isn't their forte.
Right.
But then I give them a card to maybe draw, and the art just astounds me. They're
Right.
so talented,
Isn't
and
it
it's just
amazing?
each of us, of course, we need to practice different skills throughout life, and that's why we have such a diverse education.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes there's these unique talents that, given the opportunity, some of these kids can really excel and shine.
Right. Absolutely.
And maybe you want to talk a little bit about this bag. What's the story on that?
Well, this is a tote based on my, let's see how this looks. I'm not sure which camera it's going to. This is a tote based on a painting I did recently. Last summer, the East Hampton Arts and Cultural Commission in Connecticut sponsored a garden tour, and they wanted the plein air painters to be on location.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of artists got a pre-tour the Thursday before the event. Unfortunately, it rained that day. However, I slated my time for Saturday morning, and I'd collected a lot of different visual, photos and so forth. And this is actually a combination of many gardens. So this is Karen's garden. The rabbit was right in her yard. We toured her place first. We were like 5 feet away from the rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
He was not scared of us, he or she. And then we went to Rick Walker's garden. He had columbine in his garden, and Christopher Goff's roses. He had this beautiful, perfectly manicured garden. And then another garden who Peter Engel who sells flowers at the local farmer's market. He has greenhouse full of stocks. So all these stocks were in the garden, and I was able to combine it. I had
Interesting. So it's kind of a combination of all these different gardens.
All the gardens, and it's really fun to tell the story. And then the garden was I combined them all. And that morning I set up some beautiful classical music, so it kind of just kept like my energy going and so forth. And it was a big painting. It was like 24 by 18. I can't remember, but it was good size. And on my Facebook page, you can see it up at the top. It's pinned. That was in the Deck the Halls exhibit at Lime Art Association. So it's a lot of fun. And people were saying, Karen was my kid's kindergarten teacher, and I know Peter, and I know this one and that one, and Rick Walker sells all kinds of things at the farmers market in East Hampton, or he used to organize that and makes maple syrup, and oh my God, it was just beautiful to see the gardens that everybody created, and some gardens were just abundant with so many different flowers. I'm looking forward to the event again.
That's cool. And maybe we could talk a little bit about that not only do you produce all this different art and different pieces, whether it's book or magnets or buoys, but also I think an important element of who you are and kind of what you're doing in the community is your involvement in the community. That just before we got on this set, we were talking about a couple different farmers markets that you're maybe thinking about joining and these different events. So do you want to share a little bit about how you're involved in the community that way?
Well, sure. So I always, over the years, I've always participated in Glastonbury on the Green Show. That's the second weekend in September, the weekend after Labor Day. That's our juried fine art show. And the artists pay a fee to be there. They pay a fee to be juried in. And then we need to set up the day before, the day of. It's a 2-day event. We have to put up our canopies and our panels and our artwork. And we connect with people in the community. Sometimes I see a lot of people walking their dogs locally. So I've gotten to know some of the dogs in the neighborhood there.
Nice. And
people that's the community I worked for, the municipality over there, so I get to see a lot of people I know. And so that's a great piece. The other markets I've been enjoying, let's see, there was a winter harvest market at Rule of Three in East Hampton. I set up there a couple times this winter, which was kind of a new try. Jess Stone of Cold Spring Farm, she organizes the Colchester Farmers Market and the East Haddam Farmers Market, and that's where a lot of people are selling the beautiful flowers.
Nice.
And I'm going to try the Bowser Farmers Market, which is on Friday evenings.
That'll be fun.
In the summer. So I'm going to do one each month this summer, July, August, September, and October. And I think the first one, it may be themed tractors. So
fun.
I will find the painting I did of my father on his farm wall and make sure he's represented.
Awesome. That'll be a great tribute and also blends well with your passion for farm and the farm life. And maybe we can convince you down into the Niantic Farmers Market to set up there a couple of times.
That would be nice. What day of the week is that?
I need to double check. I'm not sure what day. It might change this year.
Okay.
But
that would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be good to have you down there as well.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you actually produce this art. Like maybe you could share, is there a certain time of day you like to wake up early and paint, or is there something in the afternoon? Like how do you kind of set yourself up to be the most productive that you can be? Do you have any advice for people?
I like, for me, I sort of feel like right now I've got so much of life is going on. I need to restructure and get the plan in place, put it on your calendar. I love to paint in the morning, but right now mornings also is a wonderful time to get in the garden.
Yeah.
I'm like,
especially with the sun
shining. I have to get into the garden soon, and then maybe I can get back and paint in the garden.
Well, maybe it kind of helps to encourage too. Like you said, you get some of this motivation and encouragement from the garden.
Right, absolutely. So technically, I started painting in oils in the early 90s and just have learned honed the skill over the years. One of the things I learned recently taking an online course was about this ampersand gesso board, which is a solid board made by ampersand. It's a museum quality board.
Wow.
And the gesso is kind of like a chalk or almost like a plaster Paris surface, very smooth. I love it because it dries fast. Sometimes I paint on textured panels or canvas, and that has like a weave coming through. The other thing, you know what, I think the thing for me, like I learned when I painted on location, if I had a canvas, the sunlight could shine through the back. I like solid panels if I'm on location. I don't have to fight with another light source. So I've really enjoyed that. You were going to ask another question?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe you could talk a little bit more about the sunflower. I think it
Okay.
came from your
Right,
garden.
yeah, so this was from my garden last August, and I really loved how it was like green in the center. It was still kind of fresh and young. But painting from something right in my garden gives it another elevated quality of liveliness and life and freshness. So I really enjoyed this piece.
It's beautiful. Do you
Thank
take
you.
a picture of it and you take it to your studio?
Sometimes I do that. Yep. Yeah, actually, I really do that, and I do enjoy painting on location, but I haven't done as much of that. And I have found over the years that I have evolved from painting from life, and I rely more on my cell phone camera. I have a Nikon camera, putting it into the computer, and sometimes I will even kind of do a trace. But the paint then takes on a whole nother life, and sometimes I start to lose the shapes, and I need to carve it back out. It's sort of a safety net sometimes, I feel. I recently just started a large painting of a rooster, and I gridded out the reference material and then did it and started the base sketch, and that was more freehand. I was like, oh, I can draw. I can still draw.
It's a good reminder.
Right.
That's awesome. And you've kind of landed, I feel like your specialty is around oil painting. Is that right?
Yes, I have. It's something I just have continued to build on over the years.
Okay.
And I have done recently some watercolors, which I really enjoy. Oil paintings take a lot to set up, to clean up, although that's getting more routine for me. Like when I was saying, if I was going to go out on location, I would like to have my palette laid out even probably before I get in the car, because if you're on location, sometimes the thing that really grabs you will change in the light, and it can be, you might not catch the essence. So if I have my paints all ready to go, I could capture the basic feeling of the moment that really captured me.
And what do you mean to have it laid out?
So like when I paint, we need to get like each color laid out, and then the painting medium, which you can kind of thin the paint with, the white and the warm colors and the cool colors. And so I have a palette. I have a disposable palette. It's about 12 by 9 or 16. I don't remember exactly. And it has a cover. And I lay out the blobs of paint. And then I know exactly where they are when I'm going to go paint. And then the interior of the palette is empty, and I mix the colors up and then apply it to the painting. So
awesome.
I can remember being out in the snow in South Glastonbury by the tobacco barns and feeling, I wish I had this paint laid out already because it's cold.
And I'm sure that changes things, the temperature with the art.
It does. Sometimes in the winter, the paint can get a little stiff. I need to add a little more medium to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's also kind of interesting, too, that how art can play such a great role in people. We touched upon it a little bit, kind of expressing creativity, but also kind of from a healthcare perspective as well, that there's a nonprofit out of Norwich, I believe, called Artreach. And their whole goal is to help people express creativity through art to kind of help their overall mental, behavioral, physical health. And I'm curious if you have any stories that you would want to share about how you producing and using art to kind of help you feel better. Do you have anything?
I absolutely agree that it helps me feel better. I do get a little cranky if I don't get my art time in.
It's like personal therapy.
Right, it is. And, you know, I was researching that question, and they say it actually helps to increase the dopamine in your brain, and it helps you keep some of your brain pathways open and are happier. And it's used often with people that are elders. But I definitely feel better when I get my creative time. Even writing things out. Writing can do that as well for me. But I love being able to enjoy the colors and just getting the feeling myself put paint on a surface. I did the base sketch of the rooster the other day after visiting the cow farm, and I felt very good that I started that. One of my cousins passed early, and I felt like, what's the thing? Life is short. You never know what's going to happen or how long you're going to be here. What do you really love to do? So I try to make time to paint. I love to paint. I love to be outdoors. I love to garden. I love to be with my horses and spend time with the dogs. See what's going on in nature.
Yeah, it's a great mentality to have, and I think it's oftentimes easier said than done that we start to feel these different responsibilities for life or these paths that maybe we should take or could take in life, but to truly listen to yourself, whether you love the artwork, the gardening, these different things, and to follow that and to make that kind of your passion and part of your life is really admirable. So I really appreciate you sharing that courage to do that and still doing that. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
And we just have a couple minutes left, and so I was curious if people are interested to find out more about you, maybe connect with you, look at some more of your artwork out of what we have here.
Absolutely.
How could people connect with you or find out more? Would you mind sharing?
Oh, not at all. So I have a website, sylvinarollinsart.com. Please visit it. And I have my Facebook page is Sylvina Rollins Artist, and my Instagram is Sylvina_paints.
With over 1,200 followers.
Yeah, right. Over 1,200 followers. We're trying to build that every day. Tag a friend.
Yeah.
And I will try and get my schedule up there on my website. I usually try and let people know on social media when I have a show coming up and so forth. So. And also, Luna A Tribute is on Amazon. So, Luna A Tribute by Sylvina Rollins. So that's available on Amazon in print and Kindle. So it's a fun way, and social media has really helped my business grow as well. And I have a lot of fun sharing what's going on in my life and on the canvas.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you so much for having me here.